Just a couple of months after Brian Laundrie proposed to his girlfriend, Gabby Petito, he sent her to an early grave. In today's video, we'll be revealing the horrifying truth behind the death of Gabby Petito. But just what could have made Brian murder the lady he was going to marry? Keep watching to find out. My name is Zach, and you are watching Crime Origin. Gabrielle Venora Petito was born in 1999 on March 19th. She was born and brought up in Blue Point in New York, where she lived alongside her parents and siblings. Gabrielle was the first out of 6 children, which includes her siblings and half-siblings. In 2013, Gabby and her brothers were featured in a music video where they shared awareness about gun violence following the shooting that had occurred at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Gabby attended school in Bayport, New York. In 2017, she graduated from Bayport Blue Point High School, which was where she met Brian Laundrie. After high school, Gabby lived in North Carolina, in Carolina Beach, and got a job as a hostess in a restaurant in Wilmington. She lived in North Carolina from September 2017 to January 2019, and during her stay there, she also applied to Cape Fear Community College, but didn't get to attend the college. Gabby and Brian began dating in March 2019, and in the same year, she moved into Brian's family's house in Northport, Florida. While dating, the two worked in Northport at a Publix location. Gabby worked as a pharmacy technician, while Brian worked in the grocery department. However, in an unfortunate turn of events, they both had to quit their jobs as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In between late 2019 and early 2020, Gabby and Brian decided to embark on a drive across the USA, specifically from New York to California. During the course of the drive, they both visited Yosemite National Park, Las Vegas, Pismo Beach, and a couple of other interesting sites. In March 2020, Gabby had her 21st birthday celebrated in Florida. About 2 months after that, they both visited Soap Creek in Georgia, and a month later, Brian proposed to Gabby. Brian bought a 2012 Ford Transit van in December 2020 and turned it into a camper to enable them to get comfortable during their next trip across the country. At the time, Gabby worked as a nutritionist at Taco Bell, and she worked 50 hours every week. Brian, on the other hand, was employed at a bar that sold organic juice. Gabby had quite a bubbly personality, and as such, she was known for journaling the events in her life on her social media handles, which included Instagram and YouTube. On the 17th of June 2021, Gabby took Brian with her to attend the graduation ceremony of her brother in Blue Point, New York. After the ceremony, the seemingly happy couple left in their newly purchased van to begin their trip. They left on the 2nd of July 2021, and in the same month, they visited Monument Rocks, Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve, Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon National Park, Mystic Hot Springs, and Canyonlands National Park. A month after they embarked on their trip, a witness called the police to report that a couple had been spotted fighting outside the Moonflower Community Cooperative in Moab, Utah. The couple apparently had been Gabby and Brian. According to the witness, they had seen a man hit a woman, and after the two ran up and down the sidewalk, the man hit the woman again and then drove off. Another witness, when describing what they had seen to the police, said that Gabby and Brian had been talking aggressively and that Gabby was punching him in the arm. The witness explained that it appeared like Brian was trying to leave Gabby right there and even take her phone with him. However, she was able to get into the car through the driver's seat before Brian also got in and drove off. After learning of this, the police in the area, MCPD, began hunting for Brian's van, and soon they spotted it close to the entrance of Arches National Park. The Moab City Police Department, MCPD, then decided to carry out a traffic stop. During the search, the police found Gabby on the passenger seat of the van, crying severely, and she told the officers, "Yeah, I don't know if some days I have really bad OCD. I was just cleaning and straightening up. I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning, and I just now quit my job to travel across the country. I've been really stressed out and he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it, so we just fought all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before." Gabby had been trying to make all of it sound like it wasn't a big deal until the officers asked for her complete honesty, especially because they could see the marks on her arms and face. She explained that Brian had been yelling at her to shut up, and then he grabbed her face, which later produced a wound on her face. In Brian's defense, he explained to the police, "I said, let's just take a breather and let's not go anywhere. Just calm down for a minute." She was getting worked up, and then she had her phone and was trying to get the keys from me. I know I shouldn't push her. I was just trying to push her away to go. Let's take a minute and step back and breathe and see. She got me with her phone. Gabby pleaded with the police not to have them separated because she had hit him first. And so the police wrote this in their statement. At no point in my investigation did Gabrielle stop crying, breathing heavily, or compose a sentence without needing to wipe away tears, wipe her nose, or rub her knees with her hands. The male tried to create distance by telling Gabby to take a walk to calm down. She did not want to be separated from the male and began slapping him. He grabbed her face and pushed her back as she pressed upon him and the van. None of them chose to press charges after the incident, and considering the fact that Gabby didn't want to have them separated, the police classified the incident as a mental/emotional health break, when as a matter of fact, it seemed like Gabby was being physically assaulted. Regardless, the police decided to separate the two that night. Arrangements were made for Brian to spend the night at the Bowen Motel in Moab, while Gabby remained in the van. At the moment, the Moab City Police Department is trying to find out if its officers took the policies of their department into consideration while handling their case. On August 17th, Brian left Gabby and flew to Tampa, Florida. As for Gabby, she lodged into a hotel near Salt Lake City International Airport, and according to staff, she stayed for a few days and left on August 24th. Brian's family attorney would later explain that Brian had initially left to obtain some items and empty and close the couple's storage unit to save money as they contemplated extending the road trip. On August 23rd, Brian came back and rejoined Gabby so they could continue their trip together. According to Gabby's mother, she had last spoken to her on August 25th, and Gabby had informed her that they were leaving Utah for Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks. On that same day, Gabby posted photos of herself outside a restaurant in Utah on Instagram. And according to official reports, that was the last time she posted up until her demise. According to eyewitnesses' accounts, Brian and Gabby were spotted at a restaurant in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, between 1 and 2 p.m. Apparently, Brian had gotten into an argument with a hostess over the bill and was being aggressive about it. The witness explained that she later saw Gabby returning to the restaurant and apologizing on Brian's behalf. Staff at the restaurant also confirmed this through Instagram, that Brian and Gabby, of a truth, had visited the restaurant at the time. According to another report, another witness contacted the FBI to report a generic young man who was acting weird near a camping area on August 26th, 27th, and perchance 28th. Meanwhile, she took to TikTok to share her observations. Another witness also claimed via TikTok that she, along with her boyfriend, had given Brian a ride after they found him trying to get one. According to her, Brian had freaked out when he learned that they were headed towards Jackson Hole rather than Jackson, Wyoming. So he got off the vehicle at about 6:09 p.m. close to Jackson Lake Dam. A third witness also claimed that she gave Brian a ride from the Lake Dam area about 6:30 p.m. on August 29th and dropped him off at the Spread Creek dispersed camping site. According to her, Brian had offered to pay for the gas, but didn't want the car to go beyond the entrance of the camping site, which was quite a distance from the van. Based on the same witness report, Brian had appeared antsy about getting off the vehicle before they were even close to the camp area. After leaving behind a string of suspicious encounters, Brian returned to his family house in Northport on September 1st, 2021 in the van. And 5 days after that, he decided to take his parents camping. On September 11th, Gabby's mom still hadn't seen Gabby, so she filed a missing person report, and 4 days after that, Brian became a suspect in Gabby's disappearance. The police obtained a warrant and searched Brian's house and saw that he left on September 13th, but then his car returned on September 15th. So they speculated that whoever returned had to be Brian. However, in a surprising turn of events, Brian was also reported missing on September 17th. His parents claimed that they hadn't seen him since September 13th, and as such, the police were able to figure out that it was Brian's mother who returned on September 15th, not Brian. On September 19th, Gabby's remains were found at the Spread Creek dispersed camping site in Wyoming, in the same area where Brian's van was formerly observed. After the confirmation of her identity, an autopsy was conducted on the body, and it turned out to be a homicide by blunt force injuries to the head and neck with manual strangulation, which had happened about a month before they found the body. The police began searching for Brian, and on October 20th, they found his skeletal remains alongside a gun and a notebook that would completely turn the investigation around in Carlton Reserve. The forensic dentistry had confirmed that the remains were Brian's. However, they couldn't determine his cause of death via an autopsy, so the remains were sent to an anthropologist to examine them further, while the other items were equally being examined. On November 23rd, the public had found out the cause of Brian's death. According to the anthropologist, Brian had shot himself in the head. The FBI, after examining the notebook, which was found close to Brian's remains, revealed that Brian had admitted to killing Gabby, after which the authorities then blamed him officially for the death of Gabby. After this discovery, the FBI then closed the investigation on Gabby's death and stated that the investigation did not identify any other individuals other than Brian Laundrie directly involved in the tragic death of Gabby Petito. The FBI's primary focus throughout the investigation was to bring justice to Gabby and her family. Thanks for tuning in to Crime Origin. If you want to learn more about the most notorious killers to have ever lived, then you should check out one of the videos on your screen. Thank you for watching.